The snow fell in thick, unrelenting sheets outside the window of the Evergreen Lodge, blanketing Seattle's Capitol Hill in a hush that felt like the world holding its breath. Rafael Morales gripped his coffee mug so tightly his knuckles whitened, staring at the empty chair across from him as if it might summon someone, anyone, to fill the void of another solitary holiday. But when the door chimed open and a man in a tailored overcoat shook off the flakes like a secret he couldn't quite shed, Raphael's heart stuttered, because in that instant, he knew the stranger was about to unravel everything he thought he understood about loneliness. Raphael had always hated Christmas Eve dinners at places like the Evergreen Lodge, the kind of spot tucked into a converted Victorian house on a side street off Broadway, where fairy lights strung across exposed brick walls cast a glow that was meant to feel cozy, but often just amplified the ache of being alone. He was 28, a graphic designer scraping by on freelance gigs from his cramped studio apartment in Belltown, the kind of place where the rent ate half his paycheck and the view was mostly pigeon shit on the fire escape. Tonight, he'd come here on a whim, lured by Groupon for a festive singles mixer that promised mulled wine and awkward small talk. Anything to drown out the echo of his family's voicemails from back in San Antonio, his mother's voice cracking as she asked why he hadn't come home this year, his sister's texts laced with pity emojis. He scanned the room as he shrugged off his damp coat, the air thick with cinnamon and pine from the massive wreath over the fireplace. Tables were scattered like afterthoughts, some pushed together for groups of laughing millennials in ugly sweaters, others solitary island for the brave souls nursing drinks alone. Raphael claimed a corner booth, half hidden by a potted fir that dropped needles onto the vinyl seat. He ordered a black coffee, too broke for the wine, and pulled out his sketch pad, letting the pencil wander over lines that started as abstract swirls but always ended up as faces. Faces like his ex's, Javier, who had ghosted him 6 months ago after one too many fights about commitment. Faces like his own, etched with the quiet resignation of a guy who loved too hard in a city that chewed up dreamers. The door chimed again, and that's when he saw him. The man, tall, broad-shouldered, with salt and pepper hair cropped close and a jaw that could cut glass, stood in the entryway, scanning the room with the easy confidence of someone who owned every space he entered. He wore a charcoal overcoat that hugged his frame just right, unbuttoned to reveal a crisp, white shirt rolled to the elbows, forearms corded with muscle from what Raphael guessed were weekend hikes or gym sessions he could actually afford. Mid-40s, maybe, with laugh lines that deepened when he smiled at the hostess, handing over his coat like it was no big deal. But there was something in his eyes, storm gray, shadowed by something unspoken, that made Raphael's pulse quicken. The man nodded thanks, then wove through the crowd, tray in hand, until he stopped at Raphael's table. Mind if I join? Everywhere else is a battlefield of elf ears and bad karaoke starters. Raphael blinked up at him, the words tumbling out before his brain caught up. Sure. I mean, this is the wrong table for that anyway. I'm just sketching. The man slid into the seat opposite, setting down a steaming mug of what smelled like spiked cider. Up close, he was even more striking, a faint scar above his left eyebrow, like an old hockey injury, and hands that looked like they built things, furniture, maybe, or lives from scratch. Sketching on Christmas Eve? Bold move. I'm Ethan. By the way, Ethan Hale, Raphael Morales. He extended a hand, feeling the warmth of Ethan's grip linger a beat too long. calluses rough against his smoother palm. And yeah, bold or stupid. Take your pick. Holidays make me restless. Ethan leaned back, his gaze steady, appraising without judgment. Restless I get. I'm from Portland originally, but Seattle's got this way of pulling you in and not letting go. You local? Born in Texas. But yeah, stuck here for the rain and the rejection letters. Raphael laughed, a short bark that surprised even him. It had been months since he'd talked to a stranger without the armor of sarcasm. Ethan didn't push, just sipped his drink and watched the snow swirl outside. The silence between them comfortable, like an old coat rediscovered in the back of a closet. They talked then, the words flowing easier than Raphael expected. Ethan was a consultant. He said something vague about logistics for tech startups. The kind of job that sounded impressive but left room for mystery. He loved jazz records and bad sci-fi movies. Had a golden retriever named Gus back home in a queen in brownstone. Raphael shared bits of his own chaos. The mural he'd painted on a warehouse wall in Fremont last summer. The way he'd once hitchhiked from Austin to L.A. on a dare. Laughter came in waves, Ethan's deep, rumbling chuckle at Raphael's story of botching a Tinder date at Pike Place Market. Raphael's quieter snickers at Ethan's confession of burning Thanksgiving turkey every year. By the time the Mixer's host called for a group toast to new beginnings, you beautiful disasters, the room had warmed, bodies pressing closer as the wine flowed. But Raphael and Ethan stayed put, their booth a bubble amid the chaos. Ethan's knee brushed Raphael's under the table. Accidental at first, then not. Heat bloomed in Raphael's chest, a spark he hadn't felt since Javier's touch turned cold. He glanced up, catching Ethan's eyes, those gray depths holding a question, a hunger that mirrored his own. You know, Ethan said softly, voice cutting through the din, I came here tonight thinking I'd just endure it. But sitting at the wrong table might have been the best mistake I've made in years. Raphael swallowed, his throat dry despite the coffee. Yeah? What's so wrong about this table? Ethan's smile was slow, intimate. Nothing now. The night stretched on, the snow piling higher outside. They stepped out together around midnight. The streets slick and empty save for the glow of neon signs from the bars on Pike. Ethan's arm brushed Raphael's as they walked toward the light rail. The cold biting, but the proximity electric. At the station, under the harsh fluorescent buzz, Ethan pulled out his phone. Give me your number. Let's not let this be a one-night sketch. Raphael typed it in, fingers trembling slightly. As the train rumbled up, Ethan leaned in, close enough for Raphael to smell cedar and snow on his skin, and pressed a kiss to his cheek. Lingering. Merry Christmas. Raphael. The doors hissed open, and Raphael stepped on, turning back to wave. Ethan stood there, hands in pockets, watching until the train pulled away. Alone in the rattling car, Raphael touched his cheek, the warmth blooming into something deeper. A fragile hope that maybe, just maybe, the holidays could surprise you. Back in his apartment, the radiator clanking like an old man's cough, Raphael couldn't sleep. He scrolled through Ethan's sparse socials. Nothing flashy. Just photos of hikes in the Olympics. Gus the dog mid-fetch. A black and white shot of vinyl records stacked on a windowsill. No mentions of boyfriends. No red flags waving. Just a man who seemed real. By dawn, texts pinged. Coffee tomorrow? No mixers. Just us. Raphael grinned into the gray light filtering through his blinds. You're on. The days blurred into a rhythm neither had planned. Coffee turned to walks along the waterfront, where the Space Needle pierced the low clouds like a needle threading fate. Ethan was a listener, patient with Raphael's rants about client revisions that gutted his designs. Gentle when he admitted the scar from his father's abandonment at 16. You carry it like armor, Ethan said one afternoon, as they sat on a bench overlooking Elliott Bay, gulls wheeling overhead. But you don't have to alone. Raphael wanted to believe him. Wanted to lean into the way Ethan's hand fit at the small of his back, guiding him through crowds of the market. Their first real kiss happened on New Year's Eve, under a sky lit by amateur fireworks from rooftops. Messy, urgent, tasting of champagne stolen from a party they crashed. Ethan's stubble scraped Raphael's skin, his hands framing Raphael's face like he was something precious. Breakable. I could get used to this, Raphael whispered against his lips, the world exploding in color around them. Ethan pulled back just enough to meet his eyes. Good. Because I already am. But beneath the glow, doubts flickered. Ethan never talked work, dodged questions about his consulting with jokes about spreadsheets and soul-crushing meetings. His brownstone was tasteful, understated leather sofas, abstract art that screamed money, but he waved off Raphael's, all with a shrug. Lucky breaks, he'd say. Raphael let it slide, too caught in the current to question the undercurrents. By mid-January, the affair, if that's what it was, had deepened. Sleepovers became routine. Ethan's bed a tangle of sheets and whispered confessions. Raphael learned the map of his body, the constellation of freckles across his shoulders from summers in Oregon, the way his breath hitched when Raphael traced the line of his hip. In return, Ethan coaxed out Raphael's vulnerabilities, the fear of never being enough, the ache of loving men who saw him as a phase. One night, after a particularly grueling day of rejections from design firms, Raphael broke, curled against Ethan's chest, tears hot on his skin. He choked out, "What if I'm just temporary? Like everything else in the city." Ethan held him tighter, voice fierce in the dark. "You're not. You're the first real thing I've had in years." Raphael believed that. He did. For a while. Spring crept in with cherry blossoms dusting the U District, and their dates evolved, picnics in Discovery Park, where Ethan sketched clumsy portraits of Raphael that made him laugh until his sides hurt. They talked futures, vague but laced with possibility, a trip to the San Juans, maybe a dog of their own someday. Raphael's sketches filled with Ethan's profile, lines softening the edges of his loneliness. Yet the omissions lingered. A phone call Ethan took in the kitchen one evening, voice low and clipped. "Handle it." "Jordan." I said no surprises. Left Raphael staring at his reflection in the window, wondering who the man really was. When he asked later, Ethan deflected with a kiss, murmuring, "Just work stress. Nothing that touches us." Raphael nodded, bearing the unease. Love, he told himself, wasn't about perfection. It was about choosing the mess. Summer heat waves baked the city, turning their nights into rooftop escapes with cheap beer and Ethan's jazz playlist drifting from a portable speaker. They made love under the stars, or what passed for them in light-polluted Seattle, bodies slick and urgent. Raphael felt seen. Truly, for the first time. Ethan's touch was reverent. His words a balm. "You're my anchor, Raph, in this storm of a life." But storms have eyes. And August brought the first crack. Raphael's best friend, Lena, a barista with a mohawk and zero filter, cornered him at a Capitol Hill dive. "Dude, your mystery guy's got secrets. I saw him in Forbes last week." Ethan Hale, CEO of Hale Dynamics, tech giant. Net worth what? 9 figures? Why is he slumming it with the peasants? Raphael laughed it off, stomach twisting. "No way. Ethan's just a consultant." "Lena, you're drunk." She shoved her phone at him. The article glaring. Hale Dynamics expands AI division. CEO Ethan Hale eyes Seattle expansion. The photo was unmistakable. Ethan in a power suit, arm around employees at a gala. The world tilted. That night, at Ethan's, Raphael confronted him, voice shaking. "Why didn't you tell me? All this time, playing house like some normal guy." Ethan's face crumpled, guilt etching lines deeper. "I wanted real, Raph. Not the CEO bullshit, the fans, the expectations. With you, it's just us. Us built on lies." Raphael's chest heaved, betrayal a knife twisting slow. "I thought you saw me, but you were hiding who you are. What does that make me? Your dirty little secret." Ethan reached for him, but Raphael jerked back. "It's not like that. I was going to tell you, after the merger, when things settled." Too late. The door slammed behind him. The summer night, swallowing his sobs as he walked the empty streets. Heart in shards. The fallout hit like a Pacific squall, sudden, drenching, leaving Raphael sodden and disoriented in its wake. He crashed at Lena's couch that night. A sagging futon in her Fremont walk-up, surrounded by half-finished tattoos and empty growler jugs. The buzz of her tattoo gun from the living room lulled him into fitful sleep. Dreams tangled with Ethan's face morphing into boardroom sharks. Suits swallowing the man he'd known. By morning, his phone was a minefield. 37 texts from Ethan. Voicemails thick with pleas. "Please, Raph. Let me explain. I love you." Love. The word that had once felt like sunlight now burned. Raphael deleted them all, blocking the number with a thumb that trembled like his resolve. He called in sick to a client meeting, something about branding for a vegan startup, and spent the day wandering Green Lake. The path slick with fallen leaves. Joggers blurring past like ghosts of normalcy. His sketch pad stayed blank. Every line he drew twisted into Ethan's eyes. Those gray storms now freighted with deception. Lena found him there, thermos of coffee in hand, her combat boots crunching gravel. "You look like shit, Morales." Talk. He did. Words spilling in fits. The mixers, the kisses. The way Ethan's laugh had stitched up his frayed edges. He made me feel chosen. Like I wasn't just another gay kid from the border scraping by. And now, I'm the idiot who fell for a facade. She sat beside him, shoulder bumping his. "Hey, you're not an idiot. You're human. But billionaires don't date baristas without NDAs. Raph. Or at least, that's the movies talking." What now? Now is a void. Raphael threw himself into work, churning out logos and mood boards until his eyes blurred. The glow of his laptop, the only light in his darkening apartment. Seattle's autumn rains mirrored his mood. Endless. Gray. soaking through coats and resolve alike. He avoided Capitol Hill, the lodge a haunted house in his memory. But Ethan haunted everywhere, a billboard for Hail Dynamics on I-5, a podcast interview playing in a coffee shop where he ducked in for a refill. 2 weeks in, the crisis peaked. A package arrived at his door, unmarked, heavy. Inside, a first edition of The Great Gatsby. Pages dog-eared at the parts about illusions and lost summers. And a note in Ethan's neat script. You saw the real me. Give us a chance to rebuild. Raphael hurled it across the room, the book thudding against the wall, spine cracking like his heart had. He sank to the floor, sobs racking him until his ribs ached. Why did love have to come with masks? Why couldn't it be simple? Like in the stories he devoured as a teen, 2 boys against the world. No empires in between. The healing started small, unintentional. Lena dragged him to a queer open mic at a dive in Ballard. The stage a plywood platform under strung bulbs. Raphael hadn't performed since college, but the MC's call for stories from the gut tugged at him. He grabbed the mic. Voice raw, a poem about sitting wrong, loving blind, the ache of truths too late. The crowd, dragged queens, leather daddies, kids with fresh piercings, leaned in, snaps rippling like applause. For the first time since the blow-up, Raphael breathed easy, the words a purge. After, a guy approached mid-20s, freckled, with a shy grin and a notebook tucked under his arm. That was you. I'm Theo. Poet. Part-time barback. Want to grab falafel? No strings. Raphael hesitated. Ethan's ghost whispering warnings. But Theo's eyes held no shadows. Just open curiosity. They talked until closing. About Bukowski and bad breakups. The city that birthed them both. No overcoats. No secrets, just falafel grease on fingers and laughter that didn't catch on thorns. It wasn't love. Not yet. But it was motion, a step from the quicksand. Raphael started running mornings along the locks, watching salmon fight upstream, their silver bodies a reminder that struggle could lead somewhere. He applied to a design collective in Pioneer Square. Nerves jangling as he pitched his portfolio, the murals, the sketches now laced with Ethan's influence, but claimed as his own. Ethan, meanwhile, receded but didn't vanish. Whispers reached Raphael through mutuals, Hale stepping back from the spotlight. Rumors of burnout. A tabloid blip about a personal sabbatical. Part of Raphael hoped he was suffering. The kinder part hoped he was healing too. November brought Thanksgiving, and with it, a pull homeward. He booked a flight to San Antonio. The Morales clan a whirlwind of tamales and tequila shots in their sprawling ranch house on the outskirts. His mother, Rosa, enveloped him in hugs scented with cumin, her eyes sharp as she noted the hollows under his. Mijo, you carry too much alone. Tell me, over pozole steaming on the patio, under stars brighter than Seattle's. He did, omitting names, but spilling the shape of betrayal. His sister, Carla, a nurse with twins and a wife who baked killer flan, squeezed his hand. Love's not a straight line. Raph. It's a damn rodeo. You fall. You get up dusted, but wiser. The word stuck. A talisman. Back in Seattle, snow dusting the sound again, Raphael unblocked Ethan's number, not to call, but to read the unsent drafts in his own phone. I miss your sketches on my skin. Was it all a lie? He deleted them, but the ache softened, edges blurring. Theo became a fixture. Movie nights with bootleg prints of Brokeback, where they paused to debate Ennis's silence versus Jack's fire. Sex was tentative at first. Theo's touch light, exploratory, like mapping new terrain. No rush, he'd murmur, fingers tracing Raphael's tattoos, a sleeve of roses and thorns from his 20s. I'm here for the story, not the ending. Raphael appreciated that. No grand gestures, just shared playlists and late shifts covering Theo's bar tabs. But in quiet moments, Ethan's voice echoed, "You my anchor." Guilt gnawed. Had he anchored too tightly? Or not at all? The climax brewed over Christmas lights twinkling early. An invite arrived via email. Innocuous, Hail Dynamics Holiday Gala. Extended to friends of the family. Sender, Jordan, Ethan's assistant. A name from that kitchen call. Raphael's thumb hovered over delete. But curiosity, or masochism, won. He went, dressed in his best thrift blazer. Hair slicked, hard-armored. The venue was the Four Seasons. Chandeliers dripping light over tuxed waiters and tech bros clinking champagne. Raphael hovered at the edges, nursing a ginger ale, scanning for Ethan amid the schmooze. When their eyes met across the room, Ethan in a tailored black suit, looking gaunt, haunted, time-fractured. He crossed the floor, guests parting like water, voice low. "You came. Curious," Raphael said, chin lifted. About the man behind the curtain. Ethan's laugh was bitter. "No curtain now. I've stepped down. Raph. Board wanted expansion. I wanted you. It's done." The admission hung, heavy as the bass from the jazz quartet. "Why?" Raphael pressed, voice cracking. "Why hide?" "Fear," Ethan admitted, eyes glistening. "Last guy I loved left when the checks cleared. Thought if you knew, it'd taint us." It did, but Raphael's resolve wavered. The old pull magnetic. They slipped to a balcony. City lights sprawling below. Snowflakes melting on their lashes. Ethan's hand found his. Tentative. "I messed up." But I never stopped. The door banged open. Jordan interrupting. Face flushed. "Ethan, the press is here." Statement. Ethan glanced at Raphael. Choice etched in his posture. "Tell them no comment." "I'm out." Jordan gaped, but retreated. Alone again, Ethan cupped Raphael's face. "Choose me. The real me. Flaws and all." Tears stung. "I need time." Raphael pulled away. The night air slap. He fled the gala. Cap, right a blur. Theo's text lighting his phone. "Miss you at poetry." Everything okay? Not okay. But unraveling towards something true. January's chill settled into Raphael's bones like an unwelcome guest. The kind that overstays and raids your fridge. He threw himself into the design collective. A co-op space in Soto where welders sparked beside illustrators. The air humming with creation. His first project, murals for a queer youth center in the Central District. Vibrant scenes of intertwined hands and city skylines that whispered resilience. The work grounded him. Paint under his nails a reminder that beauty could emerge from wreckage. Theo was steady, a quiet harbor. Their dates evolved, hikes in Rattlesnake Ledge, where mist clung to evergreens like secrets half-kept. Picnics of Theo's experimental salads that tasted like hope and feta. Intimacy deepened, bodies learning rhythms without the weight of empires. Theo's apartment, a loft above a bookstore in Georgetown, smelled of ink and patchouli. They spent evenings curled on mismatched cushions, reading aloud from dog-eared Ginsberg, voices weaving through the rain-lashed windows. "You're glowing again," Theo said one night, tracing the curve of Raphael's smile as they lay spent. Sheets twisted like plot lines. "Whatever storm you weathered, it's passing," Raphael hummed agreement. But sleep brought dreams of gray eyes and boardrooms, waking him with a start. He hadn't blocked Ethan again. The gala's raw honesty lingered, a hook in his gut. Texts came sporadically. "Saw your mural online. Stunning. Proud of you." Raphael read. Didn't reply. The silence a bridge he wasn't ready to cross. Spring unfurled tentative, daffodils pushing through mulch in Volunteer Park. The city shedding its gray for greens and blues. Raphael's portfolio caught eyes, an offer from a mid-sized agency in Bellevue. Steady pay for leading a diversity campaign. He accepted. The signing bonus buying a real bed frame. A gesture toward permanence. Lena toasted him at her birthday bash in a Fremont warehouse. Drag queens lip-syncing Gaga while piñatas burst confetti like fireworks. "You're healing, cabron," she yelled over the bass. Clinking bottles. Don't look back, but back look forward. A week later, walking Alki Beach at dusk. Phone buzzed, an unknown number. Ethan's voice. Hesitant. "Raph? It's me. Gus misses you." Can we talk?" "Coffee." Neutral ground. Raphael's feet sank in the sand, waves lapping like unanswered questions. "Why now?" "Because I can't not. Because losing you was the merger that bankrupted me." They met at a hole-in-the-wall in West Seattle. The kind with Formica counters and pie under glass domes. Ethan looked diminished, hair longer. Unkempt. The suit traded for jeans and a hoodie that swallowed his frame. No bodyguards. No aura of power. Just a man nursing black coffee. Eyes pleading. "I sold the company," he started. Voice low. "Back to the board." Walked away with enough to coast. But that's not the point. The point is, I was running from success. From patterns. "You made me want to stop." Raphael stirred sugar he didn't need. The granules swirling like his thoughts. "And what about me? I was building something real." "Ethan, you turned it into a fairy tale with a twist ending." Ethan nodded, pain etching his features. "I know. I replay that night, the book, the note, like a bad loop. If I could rewrite." "You can't." But Raphael's voice softened, the anger ebbing to sorrow. They talked for hours, the diner emptying around them. Ethan shared fragments, a childhood in a Portland trailer park, scholarships to Stanford, the climb that left him isolated, lovers who chased the title more than the man. "You were different. You saw Gus's slobber on the couch and laughed." Not the penthouse view. Laughter cracked through Raphael's guard. A sliver. Gus is the real CO anyway. By closing, the air had shifted, not forgiveness, but understanding. They parted with a hug. Ethan's arms solid but brief. "No pressure," he murmured. "Just." Open door. Raphael nodded. Walking home under street lamps haloed by spring fog. Theo waited with takeout tie, sensing the shift. "Spill." He did. Over pad CEW and spring rolls. Theo listened. Chopsticks paused, then set them down. "You're kind. Raph. That's why I like you." But be sure, hearts aren't canvases. You can't layer over cracks without them showing. The words haunted as summer crested. Heat mirages dancing on asphalt. Raphael balanced worlds. Agency deadlines blending with Theo's poetry slams, where he'd cheer from the back. Pride swelling at Theo's verses on queer saints and stolen glances. Sex with Theo was playful, exploratory, mirrors fogged in his loft, bodies laughing into release. Yet in quiet, Ethan's touch ghosted, the way he'd need knots from Raphael's shoulders after long days. Conflict brewed in July, a heat wave weekend. Ethan invited him to the San Juans, just a day's sail. No strings, on a whim text that pinged during a lunch break. Raphael stared at it, pulse racing. Theo had plans, a reading in Portland, a road trip with poet friends. Go if you want, Theo said casually, but his eyes held a flicker, understanding, edged with fear. Raphael went. The ferry cut through Salish Sea, wind whipping salt spray. Ethan at the helm of a modest sloop, nothing flashy, just weathered teak and sails snapping like flags of truce. They anchored in a cove off Lopez Island, picnicking on smoked salmon and crackers, the water lapping hull like whispers. I miss this, Ethan said, handing Raphael a beer, their fingers brushing. Us. Uncomplicated. Was it ever? Raphael countered, but leaned into the shoulder offered, the sun warming skin as they talked, deep, unhurried. Ethan opened veins, therapy sessions post-sale, dismantling the armor of success. I'm learning to be small again. For me. For whoever's next. The words stung. Next to Barb. That night, under a billion stars, they made love on deck blankets, slow, reverent, bodies remembering paths. Raphael arched into Ethan's mouth, gasps mingling with wave slaps. Release a cresting wave that left him shattered. Remade. Morning brought clarity, sharp as lighthouse beam. This can't be a detour, Raphael said, packing the cooler. Theo, he's real. Present. You're. A what if? Ethan's face fell, but he nodded. Fair. But if it unravels, you know where I am. Back on the ferry. Seattle's skyline looming. Raphael texted Theo, home soon. Miss your terrible salads. Relief flooded, choice made. For now. But August whispered doubts. Theo's reading tour extended. Calls growing sparse amid hotel hums and muse chases. It's the work, he'd say, voice tinny over lines. Raphael nodded into the receiver, but loneliness crept, filling spaces with Ethan's echoes. The betrayal came subtle, a drip before the flood. At a collective happy hour, a colleague, Mark, a wiry animator with insider gossip, clinked glasses. Heard Hales sniffing around again. Buyout offers, but he's ghosting. Wonder if it's that artist he was mooning over last year. Raphael froze, beer halfway to lips. What? Mark shrugged. You know, the designer. Word is, Ethan's pining. Big drama. The room spun. Betrayal's twin, not from Ethan, but the illusion of closure. That night, alone in his bed, Raphael scrolled old photos, Ethan's arm around him at the market. Grins wide. Tears came hot. Furious. How many layers before truth? He called Theo. Voicemail beeping. Come home. We need to talk. Crisis peaked in a Portland coffee shop. Theo across Formica, eyes shadowed by travel weariness. I've been writing, he started, notebook open. About us. But it's shifting. The road's pulling. Raphael's heart plummeted. Shifting how? Theo's hand covered his. Gentle. I love you, Raph. But love's not enough if I'm chasing horizons and you're rooting here. I need space to breathe, to create without guilt. The words gutted him. Betrayal's cruel joke. He'd chosen stability, only for it to slip. So, that's it. After everything, Theo's eyes welled. Not ending. Pausing. For both our sakes. They parted with a hug that bruised. Theo boarding a bus south. Notebook clutched like a shield. Raphael drove home through downpours. Wipers slashing tears from windshield. Arriving to an empty loft that echoed his hollowness. Healing's path forked then, call Ethan. Or stand alone. He chose solitude. Diving into the youth center murals. Colors bleeding bold, reds for rage, blues for ache, golds for glimmers. Kids gathered, sharing stories, rejection, first loves, family fractures, mirroring his own. Arts therapy, one teen said, brush in hand. Saves us from the dark. Raphael nodded. Paint streaked. Maybe it did. Fall leaves carpeted streets as October waned. Raphael's agency project launching to acclaim. A billboard campaign of diverse faces under CS. Seattle. Pride swelled. Mingled with ache. Theo's text trickled. Poem published. Thinking of you. Ethan's silence held. Respectful. On All Hallows Eve. Costume crowds throng Pioneer Square. Jack-o'-lanterns flickering. Raphael wandered, maskless, until a familiar figure emerged from shadows. Ethan. In jeans and a flannel that hugged his chest. Gus on a leash. Tail wagging frenzy. Happy haunting, Ethan said. Voice warm. Thought you might need a walk, buddy. Raphael's laugh bubbled. Unbidden. Stalker much. Investor in second chances. They strolled. Gus tugging toward treats. Talk light at first. Work wins. Dog antics, deepening to scars. I waited, Ethan admitted. Hoped you'd circle back. I almost didn't. Raphael stopped under a street lamp. Leaves swirling. But life's too short for half-truths. If we try again, full disclosure. No empires. No pauses. Ethan's eyes lit. Hand extending. Deal. Starting with breakfast tomorrow, Raphael took it. Warm spreading. Not perfect, but possible. The city pulsed around them. Halloween's mischief yielding to quiet promise. November's palette painted Seattle in russets and golds. The air crisp with the promise of rain that never quite fell. Raphael and Ethan's restart was tentative, like a sketch penciled light. Erasable if lines went awry. Breakfast became ritual. Ethan's kitchen and queen in sunlight slanting through bay windows onto granite counters where he flipped pancakes with theatrical flair. Gus underfoot begging scraps. No grand declarations, just coffee steam curling between them. Conversations meandering from Ethan's post-EO therapy. Unpacking privilege is like defusing a bomb. Slow. Scary. To Raphael's mural expansions, kids see themselves in the colors. That's the win. Intimacy rebuilt brick by brick. Their first night together post-reunion was achingly slow. Ethan's hands mapping Raphael's body as if relearning a language. lips brushing scars both seen and unseen. "I miss this," Ethan whispered, breath hot against Raphael's collarbone. "The way you sigh like the world's writing itself." Raphael arched, fingers threading Ethan's hair. Release a shared exhale that banished ghosts. Theo lingered in afterthoughts. A pang of guilt texted away, "Found my way." "Be well." Theo's reply, "Poets thrive on paths." "Yours now." Work anchored Raphael. The agency promoted him to creative lead, his campaigns infusing queer narratives into corporate blandness. Ads for a bank featuring two dads at a pride float. Billboards of trans elders holding hands. Colleagues buzzed. "You're changing the game." Morales. But success chafed against old insecurities, late nights in the office. Raphael sketched furiously, lines blurring into self-doubt. Am I enough without the drama? Ethan sensed it, pulling him from the grind with escapes, a cabin rental in the Cascades, where pine-scented air and crackling fires stripped pretenses. They hiked trails carpeted in needles, Ethan's hand steady in Raphael's as they crested ridges, views unfolding like forgiveness, endless peaks mirroring mended hearts. Evenings by the hearth. Ethan read from his hidden vice, romance novels dog-eared at swoony confessions. "See, even alphas get vulnerable," he'd quip, pulling Raphael close. But conflict simmered beneath idols. Ethan's world intruded subtle, a call from an old board contact. Voice oily, "Ethan, we need you back." Hail Dynamics is floundering without vision. Ethan hung up, jaw tight. But Raphael caught the flicker, temptation shadow. "It's nothing," Ethan assured. But nights grew restless, his sleep fractured by what-ifs. Thanksgiving loomed, a familial gauntlet. Raphael invited Ethan to San Antonio, nerves jangling like sleigh bells. "Mom's intense, loves hard, judges harder." "You sure?" Ethan grinned, packing flannel. "Bring it." I faced worse than tamale interrogations. The Morales Ranch sprawled under Texas sky vast as ambition. Adobe walls warmed by November sun. Rosa enveloped Ethan in a bear hug, eyes appraising over Mole Poblano. "You treat my boy right, or I'll bury you in the back 40. Carla's wife, Mia, bonded with him over soccer recaps, twins clambering for uncle stories. Even Raphael's absent father loomed less. Ethan's presence a buffer. Evenings on the porch, stars pricking velvet dark. They shared histories. Ethan opened about his mother's passing young, the drive to make it a orphan's vow. Success filled the hole, till it didn't. Raphael leaned into him, head on shoulder. "You're enough now." "We both are." Return flights buzzed with afterglow. But December's chill brought cracks. Ethan's sabbatical soured, offers piled, whispers of arrival, firm poaching talent. One night, post-gala invite politely declined. Ethan paced the brownstone, scotch in hand. "What if I dip back in? Consult, not CEO." "For us, stability." Raphael's gut twisted. "Us isn't built on that." "You sold it for a reason." "I know, but reality bites." "Your agency's great, but my cushion's thinning." "Kids. House. Kids," Raphael echoed, voice sharp. The word hung. Uncharted territory they'd skirted with dreams, not plans. Ethan deflated. "Someday. With you." But practicality killed us once. Hurt flared. Old betrayal's ember. Raphael stormed out, walking Queen and Hills until lungs burned. City lights mocking from below. Reconciliation came raw. Ethan at his door at 2 a.m., eyes red-rimmed. You're right. No dipping. I'm all in, or nothing. They collided in the hallway. Kisses bruising. Bodies slamming against walls in frantic reclaiming. Lovemaking turned cathartic. Tears mingling with sweat. Whispers of stay sealing vows. Christmas neared. The city alight with excess. Nordstrom windows glittering. Markets hawking wreaths woven with lights. Raphael planned low-key. Tree from a lot on Aurora. Ornaments scavenged from thrift bins. But Ethan's surprise upended. Tickets to New York. A weekend at a Soho loft he'd borrowed from a friend. City that never sleeps. Let's make memories. Not ghosts. Raphael hesitated. Theo's pause echoing. Space. But boarded the red eye. Excitement thawing doubts. Manhattan assaulted senses. Steam rising from grates. Taxis honking carols. The pulse of possibility. They wandered high-line paths strung with garlands. Hands linked against the cold. Stopping at food carts for halal lamb over rice. Grease-warmed fingers interlacing. The loft was artist's haven, exposed brick. Canvases stacked like promises. Evenings blurred into wonder, Broadway's rent revival. Where bohemian anthems stirred souls, ice skating at Rockefeller. Raphael's wobbles met with Ethan's steadying laugh. One night, in a village jazz club, saxophone wailing like heartache healed, Ethan knelt amid the haze, not proposal, but a key to the brownstone. Make it ours. Raphael's breath caught. Joy warring caution. Ours, he echoed, pulling Ethan up for a kiss that tasted of bourbon and forever. But climax crested on Christmas Eve, back in Seattle. Jet-lagged, they unpacked under the tree's glow, boughs heavy with bulbs. Ethan's phone rang. Jordan. Urgent. Boards revolting. They want you back. Full power. Equity. Everything. Ethan silenced it. But tension crackled. Ignore. Raphael nodded. But unease festered. That night, insomnia gripped. Raphael slipped out, wandering to the lodge, sight of their spark. Snow hushed the street. Memories flooding. Wrong table. Right collision. Dawn brought confrontation. Over eggnog pancakes. Raphael pressed. Take it if you must. But don't hide. We face it together or not. Ethan's eyes darkened. It's poison. Raph. The climb destroys, then destroy it. But Ethan's silence screamed volumes. The betrayal unfolded midday. A courier with documents. Counteroffer from Hale. Sweetened with board seats. Ethan stared. Temptation incarnate. Just a look. Strategy. Raphael's world fractured. Strategy? That's a mask again. Words escalated. Voices rising over Gus's whine. You think I want this cage? Ethan roared. It's security for us. A family. Family on lies. Raphael grabbed his coat. Door slamming echo. He fled to Lena's. Collapsed on her couch amid pizza boxes. Again. How am I the fool? You're not, she soothed. Brewing tea. He's scared. But love doesn't negotiate with fear. Crisis peaked that eve. Ethan at the door. Documents shredded in fist. I burned them. All of it. Choose you. Raphael searched his eyes raw. resolute. Prove it. Ethan did, dropping to knees not for keys, but truth. I'm yours. No empires. Just this. They tumbled inside. Bodies fervent. Healing in friction. Kisses mapping apologies. Touches vowing permanence. Christmas morning dawned soft. Tree lights twinkling on spent forms. Ours, Raphael whispered. Key heavy in palm. But journeys loop. Healing's not linear. As snow fell anew, Raphael pondered. Love is anchor. Or chain. For now. It held, fragile. Fierce. Fully seen. Winter's grip loosened grudgingly into February's tentative thaw. Seattle's streets pocked with melting ice that mirrored Raphael's mending heart, slippery patches amid solid ground. The brownstone became home, walls absorbing their rhythms, Ethan's jazz records spinning lazy Sundays, Raphael's sketchpads colonizing the kitchen table, Gus's toys a joyful clutter. They navigated domesticity with humor, Ethan's attempts at carnitas ending in smoke alarms. Raphael teaching him to layer glazes on canvases that bloomed with shared motifs, intertwined figures against urban horizons. Ethan's reinvention bloomed earnest. He launched a consultancy for queer nonprofits, pro bono audits for youth shelters, board training on inclusive leadership, his Rolodex a tool for good, not greed. Feels right, he'd say over dinners of takeout foe, chopsticks clacking. Building bridges, not towers. Raphael watched, pride swelling. The man who'd hidden now shone transparent. Scars as badges. Yet shadows lingered. Raphael's agency ramped pressures, a national campaign deadline looming. Nights blurring into dawn huddles with coffee-stained storyboards. Exhaustion bred irritability. A snapped "not now" at Ethan's touch one evening escalated to silence. The bedachasm. I'm drowning, Raphael confessed later. Curled small. Success feels like failure sometimes. Ethan held him, voice steady. Then float. I'm here, no judgments. Theo's orbit intersected unexpectedly. A poetry anthology launch at Capitol Hill bookstore. His name on the spine. Raphael attended solo. Nerves knotted. Finding Theo amid stacks. Reading to a rapt circle. Verses on fractured loves and reclaimed selves. Post-reading. Hugs exchanged. Awkward but warm. You look happy, Theo said. Eyes kind. He treating you right. Raphael nodded. Throat tight. Learning to. You, writing's my anchor now. Tour life's nomadic. But it fits. They parted with book inscribed, to paths crossed. Gratefully. The gift stirred ripples. Ethan's quiet, proud of your grace, over wine that night. Toasting complexities. But March's equinox brought storm. Ethan's ex. A venture capitalist named Pierce. Surfaced via email, coffee, closure on the brownstone sale. Ethan disclosed immediately, but Raphael's trust quivered. Go. But tell me everything. The meet was public. A cafe in Bellevue. Ethan recounting verbatim. Pierce's barbs about downgrading to artists. Ethan's retorts on authentic joy. He wanted the CEO, Ethan said, returning. Not me. Proved to the upgrade. Laughter diffused tension, but vulnerability bonded deeper. They countered with a ritual, weekly truth tease, mugs steaming as they aired fears, Raphael's imposter syndrome, Ethan's dread of stagnation. We're sculpting this, Raphael said, fingers laced. Chips and all. Spring's bloom accelerated arcs. Raphael's campaign launched to viral acclaim. See us trending. Op-eds praising its humanity. Backlash followed. Anonymous trolls spewing vitriol online. Doxing threats that chilled. Ethan armored up, hiring security discreet for peace, not control, while Raphael channeled rage into art. A gallery show at Fremont's Solo Collective. Pieces titled Exposed. Raw portraits of queer resilience amid scrutiny. Opening night pulsed electric. Friends. Strangers milling under track lights. Murmurs of powerful. Ethan hovered proud. Hand at Raphael's back. But a critic's whisper, Hale's boy toy strikes again, pricked. Later, in the green room, Raphael vented, am I just a pretty accessory? Ethan's face fell. Never. You're the core. Validation came external. TEDx invite. Raphael's talk on visibility, weaving personal threads, wrong tables. Hidden loves, drawing standing ovations. Ethan in the front row, eyes glistening, solidified, partner, not patron. Summer solstice marked pivot. They adopted a rescue mutt. Luna, her skittish energy mirroring early days. Weekends at Golden Gardens. Frisbees arcing. Dogs romping. Beers chilling in sand. Love matured playful. Ethan's serenades with off-key guitar. Raphael's caricatures pinning Ethan as retired tycoon turned softy. But conflict crested in July's haze. An old Hale board member cornered Ethan at a fundraiser. We need you. Empire's crumbling. The offer, interim CEO, 6 months. Million. Ethan wavered visibly, confiding over backyard fire pit. It's a lifeline. For Luna's vet bills. Your studio dream. Raphael's heart seized. Lifeline or noose. We sold that life. Debates stretch nights. Voices echoing off brick. I'm not hiding, Ethan insisted. Just bridging. But Raphael saw the pull. Power siren song. Crisis erupted at a beach bonfire. Friends gathered. Lena roasting marshmallows. Carla visiting with Mia. Ethan's phone lit with texts. He stepped away, returning ashen. They leaked it. Press thinks I'm in. Rage boiled. You let them think. Raphael stormed the surf. Waves crashing fury. Friends, eyes averted. Alone on driftwood. Sobs racked, betrayals echo. Trust fracturing anew. Ethan approached. Tentative. I said no. On record. But the damage. Damage is us. Raphael hurled a shell into foam. Every time. Ethan. The mask slips. Ethan knelt in sand. Salt streaked. Then teach me to forge it solid. Or walk. I won't chain you. Dawn broke on stalemate. Raphael retreating to his old studio, sublet space for air. Days blurred, sketches savage. Agency on autopilot. Lena mediated. He's trying. Raph. But love's work, both ways. Theo's card pinged. Heard echoes. Roots hold if you water them. Wisdom from afar. Healing sparked in solitude. A solo trip to Olympic Peninsula. Rainforest trails where ferns muffled thoughts. Ho River murmuring absolutes. Journal pages filled, grievances, gratitudes, culminating, love isn't perfection. It's persistence. Return brought reckoning. At the brownstone, Ethan waited, Luna nosing his hand. I hired a coach for boundaries. No more leaks. And a trust. Brownstone's yours. Always. Raphael searched his face, vulnerability etched deep. Not ownership. Partnership. They rebuilt deliberate. Couples therapy in a Belltown office. Chairs facing like mirrors. Sessions unearthed roots. Raphael's abandonment fears. Ethan's achievement voids. Words weaving nets of safety. August waned golden. Their anniversary marked quiet. Wrong table recreation at the lodge. Booth reserved. Mulled wine-warm palms. Ethan's toast to mistakes that mended. Kisses under mistletoe. Early. Defiant. Sealed assent. But arcs curve. Fall hinted whispers of more trials. Love's labor eternal. Autumn's symphony orchestrated change. Leaves pirouetting in gusts. Seattle's vibe shifting to scarves and spiced lattes. Raphael and Ethan's therapy bore fruit. Communication sharpened. Conflicts defused before ignition. Date nights ritualized. Tuesday tacos at a taqueria in the ID. Wear neon buzz confessions. Friday films at SFF. Hands linked in dark. Whispers syncing with plots. Raphael's career crested. A book deal for visible threads. Essays blending design philosophy with queer memoir. Advance funding a home studio edition. Launches packed galleries. Raphael reading excerpts. Passages on Ethan's gray eyes as storms charting safe harbors, drawing gasps and grins. Ethan attended every front row sentinel. His pride a quiet force. Ethan's nonprofit consultancy flourished. Partnerships with Raphael's Youth Center. Workshops on ethical scaling. He mentored startups in Capitol Hill co-works. Sleeves rolled. Coffee-stained notes his new boardroom. Feels like legacy, he'd say. Home late, but lit within. Domestic bliss deep in hues. Luna and Gus romped in the fence yard. A kiddie pool their splash zone. Evenings. They cooked tandem, Raphael chopping cilantro. Ethan searing carne as salsa pulsed from speakers. Laughter-laced mishaps. Ethan's guac too garlicky. Raphael's flan collapsing like a bad metaphor. Yet undercurrents stirred. November elections loomed. National tensions fraying edges. Anti-LGBT bills snaking through legislatures. Protests flaring in Seattle streets. Raphael's activism reignited. Marches down Pine. Sign scrawled love wins. Still. Ethan joined. Arm linked. But private doubts surfaced. What if it backslides? Our life, Luna. Travels. Feels fragile. Raphael cupped his face post-rally. Rain damp. Then we fight. Together. Thanksgiving anchored them. Morales Redux. Ethan now, family. Carving turkey with flair amid Carla's twins' chaos. Rosa pulled Raphael aside. Eyes twinkling. He looks at you like paisa, soul deep. Hold it. Hold they did. Through December's frenzy. Holidays hybridized. Posada parties with piñatas and Ethan's organ clam chowder. Tree trimmed with fused ornaments. Texas stars beside Portland bridges. Gifts thoughtful. Raphael's leather-bound journal for Ethan's nascent novel. Ethan's custom easel-etched anchor. But climax brewed insidious. January's post-holiday lull masted. An email to Ethan from Pierce. Leveraged buyout opportunity. Your equity's gold. One call. Ethan deleted. Disclosed. But Raphael's radar pinged. Temptation's a hydra. He warned over breakfast omelets. Chopped, Ethan joked. But shadows lengthened. Weeks later. A slip. Ethan lingering over Bloomberg alerts. Jaw set. Confrontation simmered. What's pulling? Legacy, Ethan admitted, voice strained. Not money, impact. Hale's AI ethics flailing. I could fix it. Quietly. Raphael's four clattered. Quietly? That's the trap. Debate devolved. Ethan defending vision. Raphael guarding peace. You rebuilt me, Raphael pleaded. Don't dismantle. Ethan stormed to his study. Door clicking shut. Nights chilled. Bed a divide. Crisis detonated mid-February. Valentine's Eve. Raphael home early with roses and reservations. The brownstone hummed empty. Ethan's laptop aglow in the den. Screen open to a Zoom invite. Hail board emergency. Your vision needed. Heart plummeting. Raphael clicked record. Fleeing to the guest room. Sobs muffled in pillows. Betrayal's blade twisted deep, not action, but intent. Morning brought wreckage. Ethan ashen. Discovering the breach. I didn't join. Swear, but you considered. Raphael's voice broke. Packing a duffel. Again. The wrong table's curse. He crashed to the studio. Walls echoing isolation. Calls flooded. Lena's rants. Carla's comforts. Theo's postcard arrived. Storms pass. Lighthouses endure. Be yours. Solitude scoured. Days lost in visible threads edits. Nights journaling fury. Why do I love the breaker? Healing threaded slow. Yoga in Green Lake Park. Breaths sinking with ducks paddles. Coffee with mentors. Wisdoms on boundaries. Ethan's pursuit was measured. Daily notes slipped under door. I aired. Therapy solo now. Wait, Raphael read. Discarded. But cracks softened. March equinox heralded pivot. A youth center crisis. Funding slashed by bigots. Kids facing closure. Raphael rallied. Gala planned. Ethan appeared unbidden. Check in hand, anonymous donor. His network mobilized. Not redemption, he said post-event. Amid confetti. Just right. The gesture bridged. Over late-night debriefs. Walls tumbled. Ethan's fear of irrelevance. Raphael's terror of erasure. We're enough, they vowed. Hands clasped. Reunion ignited passionate. Bodies reclaiming in the studio. Paint-smeared sheets witness to forgiveness. No more solos, Ethan gasped. Raphael's name mantra. Spring's renewal mirrored, garden planted in backyard pots. Tomatoes and basil metaphors for nurture. Raphael's book tour beckoned. L.A., NYC, Austin, Ethan tagging for segments. Their duo a quiet power couple. But arcs demand tension. Summer solstice brought test. Pierce's final gambit. In person at a cafe. Interim role. No strings. Save your legacy. Ethan recorded. Walked. Delivering footage to Raphael. Proof of severance. Free, Ethan declared. Ashes of temptation scattered in the sound. Healing flowered communal. A joint workshop. Design meets ethics for emerging queer creators. Laughter and critiques. Sparks of futures. As leaves hinted gold again. Raphael reflected. Love's not endpoint. But evolution, dramatic. Emotional. Ever romantic. With Ethan beside. Brownstone aglow. He believed. October's harvest moon hung low over Seattle. Casting silver sheens on the sound as Raphael and Ethan's life wove into tapestry. Threads of routine laced with adventure's warp. The brownstone pulsed with their imprint, gallery walls of Raphael's evolving works. now abstracts blending Ethan's jazz influences. Swirling grays and golds, flanked by Ethan's framed nonprofit impacts. Photos of mentored founders beaming at ribbon cuttings. Mornings harmonized. Raphael at his studio nook. Pencils whispering over vellum. Ethan at the breakfast bar. Laptop open to grant proposals. Gus and Luna sprawled in sunbeams like contented sphinxes. Raphael's visible thread soared. Bestseller lists. Speaking gigs at South by Southwest where he shared stages with activists. Voice steady. Visibility isn't vanity, it's survival. Ethan attended Austin's. Surprising with a panel on corporate allyship. Their duet drawing thunderous applause. Partners in crime, a fan quipped. They laughed. Hands brushing under table. Complicity electric. Ethan's path solidified. His consultancy rebranded Halebridge. Bridging capital to causes, queer health initiatives, indigenous artists. A TED Talk beckoned. From tycoon to ally, rewriting success. Raphael, scripted edges. Rehearsals in living room turning playful. Ethan's dramatic pauses met with pillow tosses. Kisses punctuating lines. Domesticity deepened intimacy. Fall weekends. Apple picking in Snohomish orchards. Baskets heavy as hearts. Cider presses grinding sweet futures. Evenings. Potlucks with Lena's crew. Board games devolving to charades where Ethan's CEO meltdown, mime had Raphael doubled. Tears of mirth. Yet humanity's hue demanded shadows. November rains returned biblical, mirroring internal squalls. Raphael's book tour extended, European legs. Weeks apart testing sinews. Calls bridged oceans, Ethan's voice tinny. Miss your chaos, Raphael's hurry home, Luna's plotting coups. But distance amplified doubts, a London layover. Jet-lagged in a sterile hotel. Raphael scrolled old voicemails, Javier's ghosts. Theo's echoes, wondering if love's weave could fray across miles. Reunion at Seattle-Tacoma was cinematic, Ethan in arrivals. Sign scrawled, wrong table hero. Enveloping in hugs that erased Atlantics. That night, lovemaking fervent, bodies urgent. Whispers cataloging absences, your laugh in my dreams, your touch. My compass. December solstice stirred deeper currents. Holidays approached, but Rose's health faltered, flu morphing to pneumonia. Hospital beeps a transatlantic underscore. Raphael flew solo first. Ethan's go, family first, a selfless anchor. San Antonio's sterile halls smelled of bleach and worry, Rosa frail but fierce. Gripping his hand, me, Joe. Life's not linear. Love the bends. Ethan arrived days later. Flight delayed by storms. Bearing tamales smuggled in carry-on. He charmed nurses with dad jokes. Held Carla's twins during vigils. His presence a balm. Rosa rallied. Discharge papers a minor miracle. Porch recoveries ensued. Ethan strumming guitar to her hummed rancheras. Raphael sketching their profiles, legacy lines. Back in Seattle, reflection bloomed. New Year's Eve, atop Cary Park. City sprawled, firework lace below. Ethan turned pensive. We've climbed, fallen, rebuilt. What's next? Raphael leaned into him. Chill nipping. Us. Amplify, kids. Maybe? Or just more of this. The word kids hung. Seed planted. Consultations followed. Fertility clinics. Adoption seminars. Options vast. Daunting. Surrogacy. Ethan pondered over brunch crepes. Or fostering, giving back. Raphael nodded. Heart full. Our table. Right-sized. Climax whispered in January's hush. Ethan's Hale Bridge faced scandal. A mentored startup accused of greenwashing. Donors fleeing. Paparazzi swarmed the brownstone. Flashes like accusations. Your fault, headlines sneered. Dredging CEO passed. Ethan crumbled private, pacing study. Scotch trembling. I poison everything. Raphael barred the door. Voice steel. No. We face it together. They did. Press conference in a Pioneer Square loft. Ethan owning missteps. Accountability's my north. Raphael at podium. Growth's messy. Grace is choice. Backlash crested. Then ebbed, supporters rallying. Investigations clearing air. Crisis forged steel. Therapy doubled down. Boundaries etched. You're my mirror, Ethan said post-storm. Scar shared. Healing's harvest reaped in spring's verdant surge. Fostering approved. First placement, twin boys. 6. Wide-eyed from group homes. Chaos reigned, crayon murals on walls. Bedtime stories tripling, but joy overflowed. Park picnics. Ethan's puppet shows eliciting giggles. Raphael's designs turning bedrooms to adventures. Summer solstice circled complete. Beach day at Alki. Kids building sand empires. Dogs splashing. Lovers lounging. Hands linked. Rings glinting. Quiet ceremony in May. Backyard vows under oaks. From wrong table to this, Raphael murmured. Ethan's kiss sun-warm. Fall's equinox brought full circle. Youth Center Gala. Raphael's keynote weaving arcs, betrayals to bonds. Ethan an audience. Eyes locked, pride. Love. Forever.